Now this, President Trump plans to reset federal Biden-era fuel standards. Watch.
We're officially terminating Joe Biden's ridiculously burdensome, horrible, actually, CAFE standards that imposed expensive restrictions and all sorts of problems, gave all sorts of problems to automakers. And we're not only talking about here, we're talking about outside of our country, because nobody could do it. Biden's burdensome regulations helped cause the price of cars to soar more than 25%. And in one case, they went up 18% in 1 year.
Former Energy Secretary Dan Brouillette joins me now. Have we killed the EV industry, Dan?
Good morning, Stuart. How are you?
I'm very well.
Look, I think EVs are going to have a place in the market, but we have to understand where they fit. It's a niche market at the moment. Probably will continue to be that way for some time. And I think the rules that the president is rescinding, he's absolutely correct in this. As we looked at it, I think the CAFE rules, the corporate average fuel economy standard, which is known as CAFE, were to be raised something like 50 miles per gallon for an average car. Well, if you shop around today, just go look at a dealership, any dealership, you're probably not going to find any cars on the lot that actually do 50 miles per gallon. So to raise it to that point was really an effort to push out the internal combustion engine and anything that emits carbon. So there was a plan behind this from the Biden administration. The president is absolutely right to rescind these rules. It will reduce costs for consumers in the long run.
I see this as a policy reversal, a rather dramatic policy reversal. But what I've not seen so far is the climate crowd really putting out protests and dancing, demonstrating in the streets. I've not seen that so far. I'm surprised at that, are you?
A little bit surprised, but on the one hand, they also recognize the fallacy of these rules, and we see that as well. There's a story this morning, I think in the Wall Street Journal or some other publication, about the retraction of a climate study, and it's because they found a data error in that study. And I think it's important, Stuart, that we recognize that many of these studies are they're not settled science. They're not absolute. And this is Exhibit A, and why we can't say the science is settled, and that cannot mean we can't ask questions. We have to ask these questions.
Yeah, I remember the days when you couldn't say anything about it because the science is settled. The science is in. Now be quiet and just accept it. Those days are long gone. They're long gone now.
Yeah, they need to be long gone. We're beyond that. Anyone, the Department of Energy, which I used to be a part of, runs 17 national laboratories. They're crown jewels. They're just sort of the envy of the world when it comes to research and development. Anyone who has been in one of those understands that the scientists are skeptics and they question each other each and every day. So the science, in fact, is not settled.
Here's another problem that's surfacing: the rise in electricity prices coupled with AI data centers. Is the AI data center boom pushing up electricity prices?
No, it's actually quite the opposite, I think, Stuart. What we're seeing across the country, or what we have seen, I should say, in the last decade or so, perhaps 2 decades, is the early retirement of what is known as baseload energy. And that is the backbone of electricity production here in the United States. And because of climate policy, because of policies made perhaps during the Obama administration, and certainly during the Biden administration, we've seen the retirement of that, and it's been replaced with renewable power. And that's a challenge. It's much like if you thought about this in your personal life. Renewable power is intermittent. It's only on certain parts of the day. And you take a chance if you need reliable electricity that it might not be there. It's like replacing a treasury bond in your portfolio with a lottery ticket. You don't want to do that.
I'm really interested in the price of gas. I think it's a political question. At the moment, the national average for regular is $2.99, below $3. I know you're not a forecaster of gas prices, but can you see us getting down a bit?
Yeah, I do, Stuart, and I think it's because we're reducing the regulatory costs here in the United States. The president is obviously focused on the price of crude, but I think what he's actually more focused on is reducing and eliminating, in many cases, the burdensome and redundant regulations that drive up the cost of this production here in the U.S. and are ultimately passed on to consumers.
Dan Brouillette, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us.